Sadra me no ka say the Togbe Afede our toss 14. Nana wonu at the trend all over the internet because of this same be our the average. Everyone say and I NDC in our cancer. But what TS speech in here? To me personally, maybe that is my opinion. Nana answer now I think that our problem with both NPP and NDC and Togbe Afede is willing to support any government to be a but yet to say the 1992 constitution and need Ghana. And to already was standing up for a new government, a kind of government but yet to say the 1992 constitution is a problem. And until we change it, there can never be a change in Ghana. I hope you vote original in the Cassia Bahono so hono. The Bakutini is a currently or the about to Jamino say the internet is on the trend here. And mind you, so PMU ever a bonura, I bonure, I am faster Cassia as a Barcelona is a bonure festival. I bonure Kente festival because from the 14th to the 20th of October, I beginning from next week Monday. And you need the Yemen America, a bit me at 12 from 10 a.m. and so PMU ever 5 p.m. Ever a bonure SHS Park, Hona Bibia and so a bit me Akoso. Menuka say Drobonso and so about to be Nana Bediako Chedder. I was a Chedder branch our president for the new force movement. So I'm into a permanent every air Drobonso. The back with Tia and Ansama or those with the Ababe to and the stop Galamsey demonstrators say a chill one money at the idea. And the former president K1ng Ghana so in same Ababe to and then Sama or the Ababe to say demonstrators say a chill me was here Chuma Masonia. They've been someone in the Yadres or Katasamo. The back with Tia the gentle Jack on Sama on the show with Okatakyie free for Saturday to Angel TV. They were make house by him news and all the training issues. Air course our Ghana. Hey, and they be on sa and so Ebekano. You know about home is subscribe to this channel. We have answered about the man is the choose all notification icon. The video the two man they be our phone to me akacho. The more me handsome me ken and my babo na me dey baba be somo. Togbe Afede we jibia mo bia.
Na me wa ha. Zon. Na amanyafo yi bi. Zon. Ese ye fe no. Nana Bediako. Zon. Wo kaka. Ba ha. Zon. Akobo da wo message ho anibia wa ma. Zon. Na wo grow. Zon. Me pamo no. Zon. Yeah. Papa no wa mo zo wa hene wa ha dia. Wo ya kambe ogwe mu a.
Ya no nya na joba ya Peters na be no na kwe no ko Peters.
Amadina na Kuffour ayi me bisa woni mi se papa me ho ahomete ne yakeka funu ne yakeka madampan and now a demonstration ni ade obehwe no ma hye me che kokko na mdimu ni ade bibi nti na me anu ma se ma ese de ma pagya me certificate na mrantie so mo koye bi ni akochi wo mo ni ade we sima what stands on that matter they say awe ya no wa papa ko ya ti wa msi biko 2 key ne biko blockade road ni ade ne nsem be
protest no
ai
sabe manje mo jase nemum abatete no o ba o penasem nemum ya no kwa ofaso o tia asotwe kakra de o de tuno ya kasa ti o mse ya nemum ko ne ha nyina ngokwa ni mrewa ni mo da ti asema nyan me wo ma banana e bompa se Ghana be ya ma me banana no timi tla on hwa ma bibi anse de mo ma sama to mani asosia keke adinisi ani na e pe ani e be faso a ya di be sebu amano Galamsey ni ya keke ho ani gold no ko o ka e ti a oyo no what's in the game for Castle?
Yamu 10% nanka wa muso fa develop
10% bia be yamu 10%. I tell pana na nanu kan won. Na ya mananti da ya nyansu. Ana say abesi good so. Say lithium apa. Ya kan bauxite. Ya kan that principle bia nya me di fi asase mu bia ba no. Ya ma manfo ntinka so no aye won mu dia.
Na se ebra se ma okwa ya.
Enkwada no. Ya tri abuchi acho mu a. I'm saying, but you have no money. I'm asking you about that. Semrano. Now, we got another one. I'm a winning now.
It demonstrators in Yatia Mukakre, Yana, and Twasuka Krebi.
Hey, now, police in India, the Mauko, one now to Tunisia. Hey, can you use every police in India for one of them to switch out? Crown on about it from what any of our bank, a brand new biddy. And 20 million. The moment I'm keeping up a show. I mean, we go back. Send them paying for Bucaneso or send who on us. Uncha, paper. The moment be an watch chantu kakra. Hey, and yes, I do. And also they say it's now pretty Mojashi, one of my branches and architects. Why I know who's better. That's why you're the copy. That's why you're the idea.
One of the most troubling things in our country today is the destruction of our lands through Galamsey, the destruction of our rivers. I've read that more than 100,000 acres of cocoa farmland have been destroyed. What is worrying is that it will take a lot of the state's resources to reclaim those lands. Estimates suggest that it will cost about $52,000 to reclaim an acre of degraded land that has been excavated to depth of only 900 millimeters. That's 3 feet. $52,000 to reclaim 1 acre of degraded land, which means that 100,000 acres of farmland alone, cocoa farmland alone, the state will be requiring in excess of $5 billion for reclamation. After a few have dug recklessly our land in search of gold and enriching themselves at the expense of the state. It's a burden that we, all citizens of this country, would have to bear. Our taxpayers would have to pay to ensure that lands that have been criminally degraded are reclaimed. It is very sad because everywhere in the world we recognize the importance of our land resources, and in particular water, which many of us know is vital to life. Without water, we can't have plants growing. Without water, there will not be animal life. And without water, we cannot have human settlements. Water is so important, and that is why at Yale University there is a course on drinking water. But we have decided to pollute our rivers, and many of the waters that are polluted may find their way into the Volta River, and we all become victims of the pollution. Sometimes I wonder whether there are no leaders or elders in our country. How can we allow this thing to continue? As a Gaman will say, Sayo, Sayo, Nupa Bejenlo. If there are elders, we shouldn't sit down and watch the degradation of our lands. Very, very perplexing indeed. I've already talked about politicization of everything, even including Nkrumah's legacy. But there's no question in my mind that Nkrumah was the founder of our country. I was at the Ivory Coast Embassy recently when they were celebrating the independence anniversary, and they talked very proudly about Hufeboini as the founding father of Ivory Coast. That is what Nkrumah also is to us. And Nkrumah Ghana achieved so much that must inspire us. We had so many factories and we excelled in sports. But recently, the Ghana team returned from the Olympics empty-handed. These are reasons why we should miss Nkrumah. Instead of focusing on developing our country, as I've said, many of our leaders pursue their selfish desires in what has become known as create, loot, and share. We've seen a lot of reckless borrowing, reckless spending. We have seen bad policies both in the fiscal and the monetary. I can't go into details about those. But recently, we all became aware of Bank of Ghana setting up head office building in which they are investing $150 million of our money, 0.35% of our GDP. That should not have been happening in a serious country. So you can see the unfairness and therefore the lack of justice in our country. Recently, we heard about importation of $34 million or so worth of spare parts to back a $59 million worth of ambulances. I don't know how many of us buy brand new cars and invest so much in spare parts in advance, but this is happening in our country. Very sad indeed. I also read about $35 million investment in Commander Sugar Factory being considered for renting at $1 million per year. These certainly are not good decisions for our country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, many of these things are possible because our institutions that should protect our democracy, that should ensure freedoms and also ensure justice, have become bastardized. The judiciary is bastardized, Council of State, and so has become our military and our police service. These certainly are not very conducive conditions for the maintenance of freedom and justice, which are the focus of our Yam Festival celebration this year. We have a crisis of leadership. Our leaders have become what I call the poor man's boogeyman. We seem to be afraid of them because we can't talk about the bad things that they do. They have been divisive and they have exploited our democracy and our abhorrence of coups to perpetuate bad governance on our people. Unfortunately, again, all these things are supported by a constitution that is bad, a constitution that has outlived its usefulness, a constitution that has concentrated powers in one person. That is not good for our country. Our distinguished speaker, ladies and gentlemen, we are indeed in a crisis, and all of these things that I've talked about are threats to our peace and stability. But as a slave to optimism, I believe we can turn all of these things around. But to require a new agenda led by a new kind of leadership. Leadership that believes in the directive principles of state policy which requires that the state manages the economy to ensure rapid development, to ensure citizens have the business of life, to ensure all of us opportunity, and to ensure the happiness of all of us. That kind of leadership upholds the principles of honesty, fairness, humility, and is trustworthy. We need that kind of leader for a vibrant, prosperous, and well-governed country. And of course, it will require a change in our constitution and nothing else. It is time for us all to come together and rescue the orphan called Ghana. May the good Lord consider our plight and show us the way towards redemption. Thank you all for coming, and thanks for your support of the Asogliam Festival. Thank you.
Drobonso hene was here our pamo na Togbe Bediako because omuade and motinchichi mwana na ensu editu bia. Former President Nana Drobonso said on cycle police for near they on support that. The other Galamsey demonstrators nobody there was here chuma so ensu kakra. Togbe Afede so they also believe that the 1992 constitution no see change the new betimi aboa ama the orphan called Ghana when yan ntoma pa ensu etumi efra. Well, what you nche sense mo editu bia betimi da comment section ho. When you ensu any dia cost I from 14 20th of October edi eni bia. When you be there. Eti when in summer edi hini all over the internet. Togbe Afede is trending. Do not forget to share this video. Do not forget to share this video. Do not forget to share this video. Now you be answer enken. Munya kimi makam.
K1ng oh boy Juma we did the Jacob. So now see commentary or social media. No style of blogging fantastic. So you see commentary, news in the bar. So you see commentary for home. So good. Keep on going.
And the star also the ebema other tribe aflow. Uni sorted. India temni. That's how becano. It's so painful. I know shit. I don't know say commentary like or you as a presenter, sports presenter that they are. And we maybe I also strength free but it's all good. Oh yeah, dear. K1ng Ghana will try pa.